Let's walk to the sea. Take my hand and kiss me. This is where I want to be. Here with you so close to me.
Hello, and welcome to another beer review. You might not have noticed, but I've got new glasses. And one of the major things is I've got variable lenses in them, so I don't have to keep changing my glasses to read things. Haha! See? I'm trying to improve myself. But yes, today we're going to be doing a Scottish red beer, because I haven't really done that many Scottish beers. I've done technically 2 Scottish beers that aren't made in Scotland, so are they really Scottish? I did the McEwen's Champion and I did the original McEwen's Export, which of course are no longer brewed because McEwen's breweries in Scotland are gone. They're made in England. So we're doing an actual proper Scottish one, and it's from quite a famous, I mean there's a few different kind of famous Scottish brewers now and that type of stuff, but this is an Innis and Gunn from Edinburgh, or as people like to say, Edinburgh. Borough. Anyway, so this is a bit of a strange one. It's mature for spiciness, and it's a Caribbean rum cask. It's basically been kind of conditioned in, or Caribean rum cask, depending on how you want to pronounce it. But it says this beer is Caribbean rum cask matured to unlock natural hints of vanilla, fruit and spice. Now vanilla I do like. I'm a whiskey drinker, so we do like the vanilla, we do like the fruitiness, we do like the spiciness. It's one of the major flavour profiles that you get in whiskey, so this is ticking boxes here. This is good. And apparently signed by the master brewer and approved by Jeremy Houston. I don't know what the master, Dougal. I can't read his writing. But anyway, let's see what the spiel on the casket thing is. I don't know how much this costs, the same as previous one. This is part of the Adrian Pennicott range, who donated some nice beers for us to review. So this is all down to Adrian. So if you turn around and say, well, how much does it cost? I don't know. And why did you choose that? I didn't. And that's piss. Well, speak with Adrian. I'm quite happy to put his mobile number up so you can send him text message. That's shite, you know, he'll kill me if I did. He'd absolutely kill me. Which makes me want to do it even more. But anyway, this is all down to Adrian. So you can thank or hate him, whatever you want. I might even put a picture up of him if you need something to keep the children away from the fire. But he'll kill me for that one as well. But yes, what it says in the back of it, this is a beer to be savoured. I think most beers usually are, unless they really are cheap and nasty and you're just drinking them just to wet your whistle. It is a Caribbean rum cask matured for spiciness and richness of flavour, aromas of rum, demerara, which is obviously the sugar, dried fruits and spice, warming malt character. I love the warming kind of malts. I do like that. See, it's a kind of traditional Scots. We like the malts, but it's the same scenario with whiskey in that we are very good at malting. Yeah, and we understand that the subtle flavour profiles of malty grain. Maybe the craft beer fraternity should wake up to that. So warming malt character with hints of vanilla and oak. The bitterness is understated, leaving plenty of room for a long, spicy, sweet finish. So this is ticking the boxes. It is great on its own and pairs well with full flavoured foods like cheese and chutney. Well, it would do. It would do. Like kind of that portiness, kind of the wine, yes. Cured meats and fruity puddings. Again, I don't know, I think I'm a bit too extreme with the old fruity pudding, but again, depends how sweet it is and that type of stuff. We'll find out. Best served ice cold in an Innis and Gunn glass. Well, is it? Strong beer product of Scotland, contains barley. Well, of course it contains barley. What else would it do? Now it's a 6.3, now this is a 330ml bottle. It is a glass bottle, there you go, see how I saved that. And it's aged for 51 days, probably in the rum casks, hopefully. And of course it's the Innis and Gunn Brewing Company based in Edinburgh. So let's crack it open and let's see if Adrian has given me a bottle of piss or a bottle of nectar. There we go. Oh, I haven't done that for a while. No, don't try and read anything into that. I'm just talking about soaking the drip off the bottom. No, that doesn't sound good. Anyway, forget that. Right, as you can see, it is darkish red, sometimes known as a ruby, but of course, for some reason, the Celtic countries, Ireland and Scotland, like to call it red ales rather than rubies. In England, they call it a ruby ale, and I'd say it's quite rubyish rather than, or even garnet. Garnet, there's one for you. Garnet. There's a gemstone you don't hear of, but it's quite kind of garnety in colour, I suppose, or a dark ruby. But it's a kind of reddish one, and I'm getting. It's a strange one, but it's a malt thing, and I've come across this in the whiskey industry. That you do get a strange flavour kind of smell. Now you do get malts, but with some of the malts of how they're actually done, you get a kind of ever so slight port scratchings, kind of pork pie kind of aroma. And I used to get this with some of the whiskey mashes. And if you didn't know, there's the family has a kind of tradition of whiskey production and things like that. I won't obviously go into the details and that type of stuff because I don't obviously want to kind of divulge too much, but at the end of the day, we know about brewing and we certainly know about whiskey. By God, we do. I don't do any reviews of whiskey and that type of stuff because there's I would probably contradict too many people. There's too many bullshit and bollock merchants in the whiskey kind of reviewing industry and tasting and all that type of stuff, and I'd quite happily take them outside and kick the absolute shit out of them, really, because they're all a bunch of lying, two-faced, noncy bastards, basically. Sorry about the language, but oh, seriously, they're con merchants. There's so many con merchants in the whiskey review industry, and they all talk utter shit. I mean, it's worse than the beer industry, and yeah, some of them don't have a bloody clue. They really don't. They think because they can open the fucking bottle that basically makes them qualified to actually review it, and hey, actually think that the review is important. But anyway, try mashing, brewing, and actually distilling the bloody stuff, and then you understand. And we're talking about quite a few different things. My father was also a kind of pioneer in distillation techniques for Scottish whisky, and worked closely with a few different kind of foreign companies and that type of stuff to develop new techniques, which funnily enough are all now the kind of standard techniques. My God, there you go. All the big kind of whisky distillers around the world, whether they're Scottish, Irish, American or wherever, they're all using that kind of technique that was kind of pioneered. So there you go. But anyway, I'm getting that flavour. I'm getting some darkish malts, some kind of smoky burnt malt flavours. I'm getting that slight bitterness of burnt malt. I'm getting slight port scratches, ever so slight delicate pork pies, and that's what you get. One of the great things when it's not overly hopped, you can really pick up the different flavour tones and aromas coming from the different malts. Yeah. Kind of pork stock. Yeah. So let's see what it tastes like. Oh yeah. Oh, hello there, sweetheart. Yes. You are getting the demerara, you are getting the rum. You get the rum profile. You're getting the kind of alcohol kind of flavour of the rum. So yeah, you're getting that dark kind of burnt molassesy kind of sugar. And again, that's one of the things is because we have also produced IMFL, which is Indian made foreign liquor, using molasses based in Goa and things like that, which is a natural thing from the kind of sugar cane grown over there. And we have made an Indian whiskey based on that, and other products based on IMFL, and actually utilised the kind of burnt kind of molasses, kind of demerara kind of flavour in that. And yes, this has got it. So we know how to do that. We're very good at that. Me and my father and other members of the family. We are quite good at understanding how to get these flavour profiles and where they come from. And they're not from hops, craft beer fraternity. Nice mouthfeel. There is a slight bitterness, but it's a very kind of warm and cosy. It's like putting a cardigan on or a woolly jumper. It's a strange kind of aftertaste. Let's kind of get this to, it's quite complex. Right, so you're getting the kind of malty sweetness to start with. Not a strong malty sweetness, but you are getting a light malty sweetness that kind of gives you a little, as it's kind of moves to the middle of the mouth, you're getting ever so slight vanilla profiles, which again is slightly kind of mixing in with the kind of the start of the kind of burnt kind of malts, the heavily roasted malts, that kind of burnt sugar flavour. And it kind of transitions quite quickly between the front of the kind of mouth or start of the tongue to the kind of middle of the tongue, where it just really starts to get that kind of flavour profile of the kind of roasted malts and the kind of burnt sugary kind of flavours. But yes, in between the kind of slight delicate sweetness at the start, you're getting a bit of vanilla, and then the aftertaste, the kind of back of the mouth, what we're getting. You are getting that kind of rum flavour. I'm not saying it's banana, but you are getting that kind of dark rum kind of flavour profile. Not in a strong way, but you're just getting as if it's a higher alcohol content, you know, like as if like it's an inhalation of spirits, you know, sometimes you get that kind of flavour profile. So yes, there is a fruitiness that I'm trying to find. It's kind of a prunish, kind of ever so slightly, not so, there is a sweetness, but not so sweetness. It's a kind of like a kind of very mild, ever so delicate kind of prune flavouring you're getting as part of the kind of light bitterness in the aftertaste. You know, so yeah. So it's that kind of rummy, kind of molassesy, kind of burnt sugar, kind of all kind of mixed together. So it's like a lot of the kind of mid flavour profile is just kind of mixing in with the aftertaste, and you're just getting a kind of a good kind of mix match of different flavours at the end, which maybe sounds so good, but they seem to kind of melt in together very nicely. So yeah. Would I drink this with food? Even though they recommend it. And you can say, oh yeah, it goes. No. This is the type of ones I would probably sit and enjoy as individuals. It's one of these kind of like a rich beer night, you know, strong flavoured beers. And I would probably try different flavour ones. So like, you know, I could have Becue's Champion, I could have something like this, I could have a couple of kind of darker, richer beers. It's a nice beer. It's a complex beer. It's not a beer you can drink a lot of. It's definitely nowhere near session. Would I recommend it? I wouldn't. I mean, other people maybe would. I wouldn't. I maybe would have it with some cheese, maybe, but I think it's a case as though it's robust enough, it doesn't need other flavour profiles from food to kind of support it. I mean, there's a lot there. Would I drink a lot of it? No. I would probably, if I was going to have a couple of them in a night, like 2 bottles, I would probably split them up with other beers in between, just to kind of alternate the flavour profiles, because they actually are quite strong and quite complex. And to do it justice, you have to kind of mix it up a bit. I don't think drinking in succession, because I think the second bottle would probably fade a lot of profiles because you've been acclimatised to them, so you'd be missing out on a lot of the flavour profiles just because your mouth is acclimatised to them. But yes, it's a nice beer. It's well brewed, as you can see. There's hops there, of course, because of a good head, and of course nice lacing in the glass. It's more of a standard kind of dark ale, kind of stoutish, maybe even porterish kind of head on it. It's an attractive looking beer. It's got a nice flavour profile. I mean, really, it's got nice flavour profiles. I would recommend that. Yes, I would say it's an unusual beer, but again, it highlights all the different ways you can get flavour into a beer by how it's kind of matured, by understanding malts and malty grains, because I think it's a case as though they're very underrated within the kind of craft beer fraternity, and I think they're limiting themselves within the flavour profiles because they could really open up if they just dial back on the hops and start opening themselves up to really kind of the world of malted grains, because God, they can do it, of course they can. I mean, you look in America, I mean, they understand malty grains with their own kind of bourbons and their rye mash, their sour mashes, everything else for their kind of bourbons and sour mash whiskies, which aren't bourbon. This is the biggest problem. A lot of times people will think it's a case of a bourbon is American whiskey, which it isn't. I mean, it's got to be a rye mash to be a bourbon for a start. And you can have a sour mash without rye, so you got to look at the profile. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of brewers in America that understand the importance of malted grains and everything else. Just a pity that a lot of American beer brewers don't really kind of entertain that enough. And of course around the world, I mean, there's plenty of brewers around the world that understand whether it's beer or whether it's more of a kind of a spirit-based system of malted grains and everything else and how important it is. So this is basically an example of, well, hey, this is what you can do with malted grains, and yeah, it's a good example and well done to them. And but yes, it is a complex beer, so I would say if you were buying it, I wouldn't buy them in one or two at a time and try other ones. I mean, I do have another Innis and Gunn that's going to be there, which we will review. We do have an Innis and Gunn original Scottish golden beer, and we will be reviewing that again, courtesy of Adrian. Fair play to him. And I suppose if anybody actually watches these videos, if you want to kind of recommend a beer for me to try or review, then do so. And if any of you maybe want to kind of send in any beers, and I hope these beers are not bottles of piss, but if you ever wanted to do that, then let me know and I'll give you an address and that type of stuff you can send them to, and I'll be quite happy to review them. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to basically put anybody down for their choices. I mean, just because it's not for me does not mean it's... I mean, I'll appreciate if it's well brewed and everything else. If it's just cheap and nasty, then it's cheap and nasty. But if it's well brewed, but maybe not my cup of tea, I'm not going to basically slate it on the basis of because I don't like it or it's not really suits me, then it's a bad beer. And that's one of the major things about reviewing beer. You've got to be kind of pragmatic and honest. I mean, if it's a well brewed beer, and I brew beer and I have hits and misses and everything else, so I respect anybody that brews a good beer. If it doesn't suit my favourite profile, okay, fine, it doesn't suit my favourite, but I'll still respect them for brewing a damn good beer. I mean, I understand the complexities, the issues, the problems, and how difficult it is to brew a good beer. So I wouldn't piss on anybody's parade from that point of view. But yes, this is a good beer. What would I give it out of 5? For an education in kind of multi-grains, and obviously understanding that you can change a beer profile by how you condition it and what you condition it in. Again, one of the famous things within the whisky industry, and not just in the Scots or the Irish whisky industry. The Japanese understand it, even the Indians are understanding it, the English understand it, and of course the Americans understand it as well. So you can still impart a lot of flavour once the whole fermentation and brewing process is long gone. So yes, it's a good kind of education of what you can do, and different processes can make a heck of a difference. So I'm going to give this 4 out of 5. Not because it's Scottish, but because it's a good kind of an example of what you can do if you actually think outside the box, but also add a bit of kind of tradition, but not just kind of beer brewing tradition, but also taking some leads from other brewing industries like the whisky industry from around the world. Again, not based just in Scotland. So yes, I'll give it a 4 out of 5. It is a complex beer. I couldn't really drink a lot of it. I wouldn't want to drink a lot of it, but yes, as part of a good kind of either tasting session or kind of let's have some rich, cold winter night, let's have a couple of good 3 or 4 different rich kind of beers to try. Then yes, I could put this in there, not a problem. Would I recommend it to people? Oh God, I try it, see what it's like. I would recommend it to every bloody craft brewer out there and understand that, hey, there's more to beer brewing than just hops. Go try this and see what you can come up with. There's a whole world out there of malted grains and conditioning and everything else. Maturing, my God. Which of course is very difficult in the craft beer industry, because apparently everything's got to be so bloody fresh. It tastes like grapefruit. Yeah, 4 out of 5. Well brewed beer. Nice mouthfeel. Very lively. Very complex flavour profiles. Well done, Innis and Gunn. That's us for this review. Thanks for watching. Cheers and bye for now.